For those of you guys out there that are adventurous enough to travel to Vietnam to meet that special someone, eventually you will need to make a decision. Should you bring your new Vietnamese wife back home with you, or should you stay here in Vietnam with her? This is a very common question that a lot of men have who are considering the possibility of marrying a Vietnamese woman. Some guys think, wow, I've scored myself a hot wife. Now let me take her back home and enjoy the fruits of my labor. Unfortunately, most of them are not prepared for what is to come. Let's have a look at what potentially could happen if you do decide to bring your Vietnamese wife back home to come live with you. Number 1. She becomes Westernized. If you live with your Vietnamese wife back home long enough, you may very well find that over time she will turn into the very same woman that you swore off dating and were trying to escape from back home. All that femininity and sweetness will eventually get flushed down the toilet as she starts adopting more and more of the local culture back in your home country. Which makes you wonder why you even bothered to travel thousands of miles in the first place. Girls that spend any significant time living in a particular country will no doubt adopt the local customs and behaviors of the local woman there. And in the unfortunate event that she starts making friends with the local women who share a Sex in the City type of attitude and a you only live once outlook in life, then you're screwed. Hey girl, let's go have a girls' night out this weekend at that cool new club that just opened. I hear tons of hot guys frequent that place. All it takes is just a few drinks, some bad influence from her new friends, and soon enough, she's out there on the dance floor grinding and making out with some random stranger. Hey girl, why don't you go read this latest issue of this trashy magazine? It's gonna fill your head up with some more degenerate ideas so that you end up divorced and cougar hunting every weekend just like us. If a girl's environment is inducive towards her being conservative and family-oriented, as is the case in a lot of Asian countries that focus more on collectivism, then she too will follow in tow. Now on the other hand, put her in an environment where being free and liberal to do as she pleases, as is the case in a lot of societies that stress individualism, then don't be surprised if over time she starts putting her own needs ahead of the family. Now it may not happen today, or next month, or maybe next year. But eventually, she will become more and more Westernized, and one day you will wake up and find that your Vietnamese wife has completely changed. If you enjoy dealing with the attitudes and behaviors of the local woman back home, then great! Take her back home with you, and in due time, watch as her behavior, outlook, and attitude mimics that of the local woman there. Now on the other hand, if you are hoping that she would stay the same, then perhaps taking her to live in a completely foreign country may not be the best option. Number 2. Tons of thirsty dudes start hitting on her. Male thirst is a disease plaguing mainly developed countries, where men just cannot help but hit on any woman that they see. This level of desperation you expect to see from a country plagued with war, famine, and poverty, not one of prosperity. Clearly, these men did not get the memo that being desperate and thirsty is a huge turnoff for women, but that won't stop them from hitting on your new wife that you just brought back home. Soon after bringing your new wife back home, especially if she's attractive, she'll soon find herself surrounded by an onslaught of guys all telling her how beautiful and pretty she is and how come she's married to a loser like you. Now, she may be able to fend them off for a while, but eventually, her resistance will break down and she will succumb to their charms. If you want to spend a lifetime fending off all these horn dogs that just can't resist hitting on anyone with a then by all means, bring her back home to come live with you. Number 3. Her value increases relative to yours. In addition to the previous point, soon she'll start to realize how much higher her sexual market value is over here compared to Vietnam, where there's serious competition among the females to snag themselves a guy. And if her value is much higher than yours, well then, guess what? Expect her to soon become more demanding in the relationship, or even leaving you for another guy. Guys that tend to overreach by trying to date up several points are really at risk here. No longer is she just considered normal or cute by Vietnamese standards. Now she could potentially be considered beautiful or hot, especially in countries with high obesity rates where simply being slim is enough to elevate a girl's attractiveness by several points. Why stick with you when she can have her pick of the lot from dozens of guys whose value is higher than you? When she realizes that her value is much higher than yours, she'll be second guessing her decision to stay with you. This is another reason why you should always strive to up your value and not become complacent, as is the case with a lot of low value males who are too lazy to put in the work and want shortcuts. So, should you bring your Vietnamese wife back home to come live with you? In my opinion, I wouldn't recommend it unless, number 1, you're already a high value guy. High value guys don't need to worry about the woman leaving them because they are sought after anywhere in the world. If you're already at the upper hierarchy of your dating pool, then she has no reason to seek someone else. She's already snagged herself a high value guy. Now on the other hand, if you're a low value male, well, look on the bright side. It was fun while it lasted. This is why I tell guys to don't go looking for shortcuts, especially those guys hell-bent on ordering a mail-order bride. But they don't listen. Hey, you're digging your own grave, buddy. Number 2, you've already spent a few years living in Vietnam with her and even started a family together. This will help build a solid foundation for your relationship, and she'll be too busy being preoccupied taking care of the family to become Westernized. I mean, sure, she might change a little bit, but it won't be anywhere near full-blown Westernization. Furthermore, because she's already invested a ton of time and energy into the relationship, she's much less likely to want to call it quits. Now on the other hand, if you just spent 2 weeks or a month getting to know her, well, good luck, buddy. You're gonna need it. Number 3, you live in a place with a much more favorable gender ratio where the men aren't quite as thirsty. If you look closely, countries which tend to have a much more favorable gender ratios, where either there's an even ratio of men to women, or even ones where women outnumber men, the local men aren't anywhere near as thirsty compared to countries with whacked gender ratios. Number 4, if you're from the same culture or background as her. I'm referring to Vietnamese guys here, or other Asian guys with similar cultures as her. If you fall under this category, you'll be better able to help preserve her upbringing and cultural values. She'll be less inclined to try out new things and embrace new cultural shifts. And finally, if she is unlikely to adopt to the local culture and become Westernized, older Vietnamese women are less likely to change that much compared to younger ones. If your Vietnamese wife is 40 plus, then chances of her changing too much, or you having to deal with all these orbiters, will dwindle significantly. Now, unless your Vietnamese wife falls under any of these categories, then there is a high chance that she will change over time and become Westernized, adopting the local behavior and customs of the local women in your country, especially in big cities where they follow the mantra of you only live once. Now, if you're okay with this, then by all means, go ahead. But if you wanted her to stay the way that you found her, then don't take her back home. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And if you would like to support the channel, then consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You'll receive access to exclusive videos plus other member perks. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description below. And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future videos, then just leave me a comment below. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.